So this is a quick summary of the chapter where I talk about Paul's mistakes. It's actually not the whole chapter, but on his first missionary journey, he doesn't leave people behind. It's just him, John Mark, and Barnabas. And they don't build adequate teams. They don't raise people up effectively when they go. They raise elders up, but he realizes, I need a bigger team. I need to be leaving people behind. So on his second missionary journey, he goes to do that. And this time he tells Barnabas, let's go out and strengthen the churches. That was not a good thing, by the way. When you hear that, you think, oh, that's really sweet. They were going to go strengthen the churches. No, that meant the churches were a wreck. Remember, the churches, quote unquote, that we're talking about is the Galatians, right? Lystra, Derbe, Iconium. Those churches, Paul says, I don't even know if you're saved. I don't know if I wasted my time concerning. He doesn't know because they're no longer trusting Christ, and he's worried. So heresy creeps in. They stop trusting Jesus. They're trusting their own works. So Paul goes, oh, I've got to leave people behind that can care for the church. So he learns from his mistakes. Now, most of us in here being Free Methodists, we know, right? Wesley made tons of mistakes, and God used him powerfully. And that should be a great encouragement. But the first thing Paul learns to do is manage a team split. So I'm talking to a room full of church planners here. Team splits, huh? It's not like any of you have ever experienced that, right? Right when you're planting a church, people break off. Team split, right? Your right-hand guy or gal says, oh, I can't go with you anymore, or they get cheesed off. You have a dispute. That happens to Paul right out the gate on his second missionary journey. Nothing new, right? I always tell planners, you're on time. You're right on time. I know it seems weird. You're right on time. That's my favorite thing to tell church planners. Then he learns to recruit others. So now he goes back through Lystra, Iconium, and Derbe, and he recruits Timothy. But we keep seeing on that second missionary journey, he recruits so many people that we get to know and love, right? Silvanus, Dr. Luke, he just is like this recruiting machine, which if you're a planter, you may not know this yet. One of the giftings of apostolic ministry is to recruit. You just become this recruiting machine. If you were terrible at recruiting for any way, like if you were a terrible Amway salesman, you'll still make a great church planting recruiter. It's just, it comes with the gifting. And then allow your team to spread their wings. That's what Paul does. And Paul learns that on a second missionary journey because he goes to Thessalonica, and what happens? He gets driven out 2 weeks in. In fact, the guy can't catch a break. At every point, he starts preaching the gospel. He's spending on average 3 to 4 months in each town, moving on. But the circumcision group keeps following him. So he has to eventually, with the Thessalonians, he has to just leave his team there. And he goes off and he spends a good 6 months in Corinth and just leaves Timothy and Silvanus just to do the work. Silas just leaves him there to do the work. All right. And that can be hard when you just have to suddenly leave. And my second church plant, my wife got cancer, and I adopted a special needs baby out of the NICU. And my life started falling apart pretty quick. And I just had to ditch the core team, and they did awesome. But Paul learned that. He learned to trust others. And then because Paul got burnt out when he went to Corinth, and you can read all about that in Plantology, Paul learned you can't fake it till you make it. Sometimes you got to lick your wounds, your mental health, your personal health. A lot of ministers learn that very, very late in the game, where they think the mission is everything. And I would disagree. I would say that you're part of the mission too, and God cares for you. So Paul learned, okay, just tent make, and there he goes to Corinth and he tent makes with Priscilla and Aquila. He doesn't do any gospel work, the book of Acts tells us, till finally Timothy and Silas are dead and they show up. On his third missionary journey, he learns to launch bivocational training hubs. Now, that's exciting. In-game, in the Marvel movie, they take on Thanos. Iron Man gets the power glove, the Captain America shield. It's pretty epic. The equivalent of that in Paul's third missionary journey is Ephesus. It is the training hub. Paul lectures daily there. He raises up church planners. He sends them out. They're so catalytic that they plant the 7 churches of Asia. That is what we call serial church planting. And Paul establishes a serial church planting hub. And there he just learns.